and study. You know right where I'll be.
Your very first trial, Skylander, is the trial of courage. One path leads to chompies. The other, spiders. Pick the path that leads to what you fear most.
Alright, so if you're watching this, it looks like you've decided to see what all the left-hand choices in the Oracle's mystical realm of emotion look like. Which means we'll be foregoing this Chompy challenge on the right, and instead, we'll be checking out the Spider realm. Now this place is, well, it's a little bit scary. I'd say it's definitely trickier than the Chompy counterpart. Alright, so here's our first formal introduction to the Spiderlings. We're gonna be seeing a lot of them here. Actually, we've got like a helpful little statue. Ugh. Yeah, the Gargantula is perhaps the biggest problem here, but by no means is it the only challenge. It's actually...
Hello. I see you have picked the spider path. Very interesting. To complete this test, all you have to do is defeat the spiders in this room. Should be fun.
What I was going to say is let's listen to the spiel of this statue. There's a number of these. I don't know if there's actually one of them in every single chamber in the Oracle's realm, but there are a number of them. So the challenges here, there's a couple of them. For one, we've got 2 Jawbreakers. And you know how I feel about Jawbreakers by now, I'm pretty sure. Unless this is your first rodeo here at the Vasco channel, in which case, welcome. But if you've seen basically any episode that a Jawbreaker is in, you know I hate these guys. They're big jerks. Their punch just like has infinite range seemingly, and then when they're not punching you, they're almost impossible to hit. Not impossible, mind you, but definitely very difficult. Also, the spiders will spawn infinitely until you finally take care of their spawny pod things. I don't know if there's actually an official name for these in the Skylanders universe. Luckily, here with Flint, we've got the wide range of the hammer, and while we're still taking some damage from the Jawbreakers and the exploding spiders and whatnot, we are actually able to sort of reach around the shield of the Jawbreakers to deal them some damage, even when they're still in their sort of aggressive mode, and that's nice. But yeah, so like, I'd say perhaps the most important thing here is to keep moving, because the Gargantula in the middle is going to shoot webs at you and try to reel you in, and even if it doesn't bring you close enough to deal massive damage with its own attacks, it can sort of lure you into a trap that the Jawbreakers can deal their own kind of damage. So like, just try and keep moving. As you do so, try and eliminate the spider pods rather, unless you're actually trying to like grind for experience. In which case, this is a perfect place to do that. Because, as I mentioned, until you get rid of these things, the spider pods will sort of spawn spiders infinitely. Come on. Yeah, there we go. That's looking good. Alright, I think now it's just down to the Gargantula, which will still be a challenge, but not as big as trying to take it down with all the other enemies still around. And now we're going to start making some use out of our exploding boulder upgrade that we just got. It's a super nice one. With an enemy this large, we can sort of spread our boulders out and deal lots of damage all at once, which is kind of nice, and then you explode and reform really quickly. So we've finally gotten some utility out of Flint. You know, I've sort of been talking about it. It's a long time coming, but you can also sort of try and bait her, stand still long enough for her to start like rearing up to shoot her web, and then make a big melee attack or whatever. You also got to watch out. When she dies, she'll spawn a number of those little spiders. Probably not enough to, like, you know, dispose of your Skylander at any reasonable health. But it is important to know that that will happen just because you can get snuck up on that way. So here's our first collectible of this place, and it's going to be tricky to collect all of these. I'm pretty sure, unless I've done the math wrong, that you have to go through this level 4 times to get all the collectibles. So I'll be showing you how to do that, so I got that to look forward to. The first one, the Winged Sapphire. Well, the first one going left, anyway. I'm going to be recording this one first, but you can watch them in whatever order you'd like. You've probably seen half of them by now. There's like a 50% chance that you've seen half of the collectibles by now. Anyway, a further 2% discount And that's opened up, by the way, that's a monster gate, so that doesn't open until you've cleared all the enemies here. So no point in worrying about that until all the spiders are already dead. No point in lingering here anymore. There's nothing else for us. So let's take this teleporter and see where we end up.
Well done, Skylander. I am already getting some wonderful research data here. Next is the trial of heart. Here, you must find your true self. Would you rather be a small fish in a big ocean? Or a large fish in a small pond?
Alright, now as I'm pretty sure I mentioned earlier, basically this level plays out as a series of choices, so every time we complete one of these challenges, we're gonna end up back here with Octavius Cloptimus? It's a pretty weird name. Anyway, we're still on the left path, which means that we're going to be a big fish in a small pond. It seems fitting for our giant friend Flint. I think I'll spend one more area with him, at least until he's feeling the hurt. These areas can be tricky. It's also important to note that this is probably one of the more important decisions that you can make in this level, because depending on which side you go with, you're presented with a different pair of challenges after this. So the way it works is you'll always see the Trial of Courage, where we started, and the Trial of Heart, but then if you go Big Fish, you get a different set of 2 choices, and if you go Little Fish in Big Ocean, it's a separate set of choices. But today, we'll be going here. We'll be the big fish in the small pond. So let's see how big we are as a giant. It kind of looks just the same as everything else. I don't know what... Oh, look at the tiny Chompy. Look at the tiny Jawbreaker. He's still almost as annoying as he was before. So I think you'll see almost the same set of enemies on both paths. I think this first area has the same exact set, and then we'll see some enemies in some smaller areas later on in this section, and I think those change a little bit depending on whether you've gone big fish or small fish. But basically the way this works is it's the same area both ways. It's just whether like everything is big or small depends on your choice. If you choose that you want to be big, then everything else is small. If you choose that you want to be small, everything else is big. So even like Chompies are like huge, and that's kind of disconcerting. But today we're the big fish in the small pond. I'm gonna leave these pillars alone. For some reason, I always want to break all of them, but there's actually no point to it. I mean, they may have treasure in them, but like, it's a very low chance, I think. I mean, it's possible they don't even spawn treasure. Don't actually remember getting any. I just sort of assumed that, like most breakable objects, it can have treasure inside. So, I'd say a good half of this section is these sort of, like, chomping trap things, where, like, big stone blocks try to crush you. Oh, wow, that Chompy blew up that landmine and got me with it. I'm kind of impressed. But yeah, so here these obstacles seem, I don't know, about normal size. They're sort of a threat to any normal Skylander. On the other path, they're really big. It's all about timing and finding a space to stand. Sometimes you're going to get trapped a little bit. Again, we're going to see these gargantulas. Luckily, there's a little pretzel food item here. Again, I would say that keep moving is sort of the best strategy. Also here, I think it's important to try and eliminate the smaller enemies as quickly as possible, because they're going to be doing the bulk of the damage, I would say. Because as long as you keep moving, the gargantulas aren't that big of a problem. Of course, I say that, and then... okay, we're going to switch now. You did some good work, Flint. How about Laboon take a shot at this? Yeah, I remember the first time I took this path, the big fish in the small pond, that the gargantulas gave me quite a lot of trouble. Let's just chomp. Man, they have so much health. They're such a nuisance. Okay, if we could wow, wow, wow. This is outrageous. How is he not dead yet? Okay, so the first one's dead. Now there's a bunch of spiders. That always happens. It's not just the one in the spider chamber, just so we're clear. Yeah, sort of not following my own rule too closely there with the whole trying to keep moving thing. It's kind of hard. The giants sort of pose a large target, and it's also a matter of you still need to be able to attack these things because there's a monster gate keeping us from progressing forward, and until the gargantulas are taken care of, you're not going to get any further down the line. So we're going to have to watch out for these. Oh, that's not what I wanted. There we go. I wanted the body slide, because I thought that could get me through there quickly, and I was right. Though that could have been disastrous if I had timed that poorly. Alright, I think I can just sort of wait for these to open. There we go. And then I think are there still enemies here? There's a food item, and another collectible for us. Soul gem for a familiar friend of ours. Brawl. This one is the "You'll shoot your eye out" ability. I've never found this one particularly useful, but basically you hold your attack 1 button, since I'm playing on the 360, it's the A button, and you'll sort of stand still and make like a charging sound, and then when you release it, you'll launch out your eyeball, but it doesn't launch and then like fly away, it sort of launches and then like reappears on your body. I don't find it that useful, it's kind of weird. But, you know, it's still good to have all the abilities for all of our characters, so I'm glad to have picked this up. Let's not preview. Instead, let's break some vases and get some gems. And head into the central chamber once again.
I really do find your life form fascinating. Anyway, next is the trial of element. You've probably never thought about this before, but would you rather channel water or tame fire?
Alright, so as I mentioned before, depending on which choice you made during the Trial of Heart, you get either the Trials of Element and Knowledge, which we'll be receiving today since we've taken the left path and gone through the Big Fish trial, or you'll end up with the Valor and Strength trials, which we'll be learning a little bit more about later, because since those are still choices, they have a left and a right option, and we'll be looking at the left ones a little bit later. But for now, I'm going to gather all the treasure. Don't worry, not going in the right door. Sticking to the left path, and we'll be taming fire. Alright, this one's going to be a little bit treacherous, but I think I'm going to see how Laboon fares before worrying about the details.
Ambush. Born to burn.
So both of the element trials involve an ambush of evil Skylanders of a particular element. The deal with these guys, I think we actually fought against them in Spyro's Adventure, if you happen to join me for that. Man, these guys are treacherous. You really gotta watch out for these guys. Just trying to see how the Whirlpool does against them. Oh, it's not good enough. Alright. Well, I thought that would be cool, but these guys are just too quick in this small area to be dealing with my usual shenanigans. How about we see how our tiny dragon fares in this fiery arena. But yeah, so as I was saying, like the key here, these guys sort of have like a quick fireball toss motion, and they're gonna charge at you. And, you know, if this was a bigger arena, I don't think that would be that big a threat, but because there's so little room to run, and they're relatively quick with their attacks, it's actually pretty difficult to stay safe. You kind of got to focus on that above all else. Also, it's really important to watch out for that lava pool attack that they make sometimes. It kind of bugs me that they have sort of like the same general, like, tell for both attacks, so it can be tricky to sort of gauge them. They're just sort of like grunting and posing their arms and whatnot. But these guys are almost dealt with, so, you know, I'm not too scared. Heck, I'm not scared at all. Alright, I think I'll actually switch back to Laboon. And give him these healing items. I think we may want his help later. Not entirely sure, but it's not as if Yoshi needs it for now. Actually, let's just stick with Laboon for a minute. What else you got cooked up?
Wonderful. Keep it up. You're doing great. Next, we have the trial of knowledge. Tell me, are you a lock master? Or light beam perfectionist?
Ugh, good grief. I'll tell you one thing, if I was making this choice for myself, I would definitely not be the Lockmaster. It's the worst room, possibly in this whole game. It's just, it's like a living nightmare. Also, weirdly enough, even though this is still unlocked with the key that Octavius the Oracle gives you at the start of every zone, it still has like a Imp Master lock on it, which I think might clue you into exactly why I hate it quite so much. But let's unlock the Trial of Knowledge Reflection, because we like to solve puzzles without imps in them, I guess. I don't know what I'm going for there. Got another one of these statues. These actually aren't terribly useful. I mean, usually the premise is pretty clear looking at it. Here, we're just going to solve a laser puzzle. And I don't actually need someone to tell me that I'm going to solve a laser puzzle when the room's full of crystals and lasers. That's basically just how Skylanders works. So, pretty simple one, actually. You start by pushing, like, these crystals on the left and right of where you started, as far as the game will let you. And puzzles are actually pretty straightforward in that respect. At least so far in the Skylanders games. Who knows what the future holds. And then over here, we've got ourselves another one of our collectibles, a treasure chest. And, yeah, I suppose Laboon could take this.
The treasures of the sea.
But since he's got that, I think maybe it's time to switch to a different character. And, I don't know, let's go with Hinata. Why not?
Any last wishes?
Alright, so now we've just got to push more things into position. So we're going to push this block over on the left, down, and then I think we push it right first. Then we push this over, and then down as far as it'll go. Now we can push that back where it started, and push the other block where that was a moment ago. And now I've got a clear path to finish off our light puzzle. If Nada will cooperate by actually pushing the block, that would be nice. And there we go. And the gate is open. Look at that. Simple puzzle. What else you got?
Wow, we are down to the final trial. And I must say, I am very excited for this one. It is the trial of values. And I urge you to be honest here. Although, if you aren't, that will be good data for my research too. So, either way works. Do you seek the power that comes from wealth? Or from knowledge?
Alright, well I would say that this, if the Trial of Heart was the most important decision that you make, I'd probably say this is the second most important one, because this one's actually a little bit tricky. Now, the first couple times I played through this I chose wealth because I was just looking to upgrade my character still, and then I found out some interesting stuff looking into this level in more detail. It turns out that the left path starts off by giving you the bowling pin hat, which is what the bowling pin represents, which maybe isn't super straightforward just by looking at it. But more importantly, the second time you go through here, once you've already collected the bowling pin hat, then it's a legendary treasure. So there's 2 collectibles on the left side and none on the right. And then, on top of that, every time after you've collected all the collectibles on the left-hand side, you'll still get 500 gold from choosing the left path. So basically, the left path is always best. I mean, at least as long as you care about collectibles. If you don't, then maybe the right path is always best for you, because you just get the most money right away. Anyway, I'll be choosing left again for obvious reasons. But I have to say, if I was going to choose between the power of knowledge and the power of wealth, I would definitely choose knowledge. So here we go, got the bowling pin hat, and I think we'll finally change out the princess hat. While I like the idea of a princess hat on our lonely female giant, I think it's just kind of an ugly hat. So we'll give her some armor and critical hit, why not?
Splendid.
Now, as Octavius the Oracle mentioned, this is the final trial, but that doesn't mean we're done picking left-hand choices just yet.
Hawk and Oar!
Now, Falco's going to help me demonstrate what I mentioned earlier, the fact that if you take the small fish in a large ocean choice in the Trial of Heart, then you're given a different set of challenges to finish off Octavius's Trials of Future Sight.
Very interesting. This is very valuable information to me, Skylander. Hope you're having fun too. Next is the Trial of Valor. Here is where you must make a difficult choice. Would you rather save the princess or catch the bad guy?
So this is a fairly typical superhero dilemma, and well, I think it's widely believed that it's probably better to save the innocent person in trouble. Since we're on the left path, we're definitely going to be trying to catch the villain. The villain might be in sort of a metaphorical sense. As you see, the villain is pictured there on the image over the keyhole. It's a winged key, like in the first Harry Potter, Sorcerer's Stone, aka Philosopher's Stone for any of you in Europe or any other country that didn't get the inexplicable name change. So we could listen to that statue there, or we could just try and chase this key. He's gonna float around spitting fireballs. Best thing you can do is cut him off. So he's always going to take the same path heading right around this giant block, and if you simply head left and wait for him to come around, you can catch him before he's ever got a chance to really get out of your sight. There's a couple of ways that you can sort of lose ground enough on the key that you'll lose sight of it, and eventually, if you fail to catch the key, you'll be forced to start this trial over. So that's kind of lame. There's a lot of sort of like fake pathways. I'm gonna kill these guys just for the experience, but if you were still chasing the key and you went down this path, then you'd be in trouble because you got nothing to show for it. There's a couple of pockets like that. There's at least one at the end of this sort of corridor that we're in now. Also, watch out for this fellow. Most Skylanders' attacks can't reach him up there, so you really kind of have to just like dodge him best you can. There's another room full of just bad guys for experience, and yeah, since I've already got the key, why not take advantage of it? I could use some more experience for a number of my Skylanders, Falco among them. Yeah, one of the trickier things I think about the Oracle, I feel like this should be called like the Oracle's Lair or something, but that's sort of like a personal thing. It just seems weird to call the level after a person instead of a place, because I think every other Skylanders level is a place. Either way, it still strikes me as a little weird. But one of the weird things about the Oracle level is that there aren't actually that many enemies overall, so you don't get a ton of experience from it. Yet a lot of people still seem to like this level quite a lot, and I can understand why. I think it's a cool level. You get to make a lot of choices, you sort of like shape your own way through the level, and it has a lot of replay value, and I know a lot of people like to play through the game several times with their Skylanders to level them up and try out new characters that they get, stuff like that. So this is a really good level in that respect, and I'd like to see more of that sort of thing. My only problem with it is that, man, is it complicated to try and show off everything, which I like to do when I'm let's playing these Skylanders games, so it poses me a couple of problems, but I think the fun factor is definitely well worth it. So here we go. You don't actually have to kill all those guys, and again, I'd probably recommend against it, unless you've followed my pro tip of go slightly left and stand there until the key bumps into you. If you make the key come to you, this is a really easy challenge. Otherwise, it can be tricky, especially if you don't know the correct way. But yeah, if you get all the way here and the key beats you here, then you gotta start over. And, I mean, you just play the same section over, nothing new about it. So, let's head forward and see something new instead.
Incredible. It really is a pleasure to study your species. And we're almost done here. Only a couple more trials to go. And our second to last is the trial of strength. Are you a Skylander built for power? Or speed?
So yes, again, if you take the small fish in a big ocean choice back at the Trial of Heart, then you're not only given the Trial of Valor, which we just completed, but also the Trial of Strength. So 2 unique trials, depending on which choice you made the second go through Octavius's main chamber. Here we've got Strength and Speed. We'll be going for Speed because it's on the left, and also because we got some quick Skylanders. Just like my friend, Meta Ridley.
Blink and destroy.
I find that the Trial of Speed is actually a fairly tricky one. Let's see if I can take this one down with relatively little problem. Speed. Of course, in the case of Meta Ridley, we're sort of built for strength and speed. However, I think speed's only half of the equation here, this time around, with our Skylanders. You see, this is a trial where there's a lot of obstacles, sort of trap-type things. A lot of these, like, rolling, spiked, and bladed type obstacles. And so, like, it's not just about speed, but you have to sort of play smart. You have to try and find the little... you have to find safe pockets to stand in. And even for small Skylanders, it's a big problem. Especially there in that second run of obstacles, I find it particularly problematic and tend to sort of just rush through that and take a little bit of damage myself. But after that second one, the one that gives me so much trouble, we are rewarded with a treasure chest, yet another one of the many collectibles hidden in the various trials of this level. So let's go ahead and pick that up. Ah yes, look at all that glittery gold. Wonderful. This will help us buy future upgrades. Alright, and now we're back to the trial. So here, if you just have someone quick with like rockets or flying, you can make a good pass at that as long as you go at the right time, just after the blades would pass by where you're trying to go. And there's one more point of interest before heading towards the end here. Also a fun fact, curiously, this trial takes place in the exact same location as the Trial of Valor catching the villain, the one we just did. You probably noticed that, but just in case you didn't, we're in the exact same place. Not entirely sure why that is, but that is the case. Also, hidden within this trial is an optional Skystones battle, and I think I'll take care of that real quick.
Boy, am I glad to see you. I must have taken the wrong turn at somewhere. But since we're both here, want to play a game of Skystones?
Clearly I do.
Great! So nice to finally have someone to play with.
Stone collected.
Well, I gotta say, that one's not terribly hard if your opponent makes it real easy by leaving himself extremely vulnerable at the last possible opportunity, but I'll take his pride regardless, even if he just wants to give it to me. And I said pride, but I meant prize. Either way, I think I got them both.
Nice job! And hey, if you ever figure out how to get out of this crazy place, let me know!
I would love to, Clam-Tron. The only problem with that is if I get out of here, probably not coming back anytime soon. So I'll wish you luck and be on my way. So we're obviously not done with our obstacles just yet. This one can also be pretty tricky. These ones are only going to jump out at you if you get close, so you sort of have to like bait them by almost putting yourself in danger and then taking a step back, and then as they're retreating, you make your move. This area is actually rather simple if you ask me. I mean, they're only going to follow this track, so as long as you don't cross that, you're going to be totally fine. I mean, eventually you're going to have to cross it to get to the exit of the area, which you probably know having seen this area before. But you only have to do it once. Not that big of a threat, honestly. And with that, we're back to the teleporter. And we're out to the Trial of Reward. Or the Choice of Reward, really. Because there's not much trial to it. You sort of just get whatever you want. And I'm going to be collecting that gold. But I'm going to see you back at the end where I was a moment ago. Almost forgot that I wanted to do a real quick proof of concept here. So you've already seen me pick up the bowling pin hat, and even though the bowling pin hat is still pictured as the reward over here on the left side of the Trial of Values, we can still open this gate, and we'll still get a nice reward. Check out this legendary treasure. It's the Dragon Roof. I forget if this actually completes our set, but we're getting very close to having all of the different customizable components for the Dread Yacht. Very exciting. And of course, a small gold bonus for our trouble. And anyway, I think I'll leave you right where I left you. If that makes any sense, which it doesn't. Anyway, I'll see you in a second.
Congratulations. You have completed my trials. Can you believe it? I have learned so much from you. And in exchange for your help in this matter, I will return you to your ship. Give Flynn the coordinates for a shortcut to the lost city of Arcus, and give you guys a little present that will allow you access to the lost city. Just my way of saying thanks. Magically, all this is waiting for you back at the Dread Yacht. But feel free to return anytime, Skylander. My many doors are always open.
Alright, so there we go. That's as many collectibles as we can get by just taking on all of the left paths. If you'd have interest in checking out the other collectibles that you can pick up by taking the right paths, or even just seeing what those rooms are like, because they're all pretty different, I'm going to go ahead and put a link in just a moment. But for now, let's see if the Oracle made good on all his promises.
Whoa! I don't know what you did up there, but it must have been good. Look! It just appeared here a minute ago.
Plus, the Oracle gave us directions to Arcus. If we take this Arkeyan copter, we should be able to sneak right in.
Yeah, things are looking up for the good guys here. You just come see me when you're ready for a little ride in a chopper.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but if an Arkeyan helicopter thing showed up out of the blue, I'm not sure I'd assume that a good thing just happened. However, in this case, Flynn and Callie are correct. We're going to be making good use of that in the next episode. I hope you had fun this time, and I hope you'll join me for that, because I'm sure it will also be a blast. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in checking out all the right-hand options as well, then go ahead and click this link. That'll take you to the episode where I try out all of the choices I didn't make today. And between the two, I cover every single room in the Oracle's chambers. Oof, what a task. Well, again, hope you enjoyed it, and that it was worth all the effort. See you next time!